2020 presented the city with a unique set of challenges. I am pleased to report to you that the city ended the year and remains in a strong financial position. Last March, governors across the United States took action to protect the health and safety of their populations from the then mostly unknown novel coronavirus. COVID-19 has had an immediate and strong economic impact. Unemployment grew from 4.4% to 14.8% nationally. The stock market fell 34%. Gross domestic product in the second quarter of 2020 fell 31.4%. The City of Dublin's response to this emergency included an assessment of the potential economic impact on the city's finances. In April, I presented to City Council operating budget revenue estimates between $70.2 and $88.1 million, based on the uncertain road ahead. Over the course of the next several months, these estimates were continually refined, and ultimately, Dublin ended 2020 with operating revenues totaling $92 million, which was less than $1 million below our original 2020 operating budget estimate. The key driver behind these figures is the resiliency of the city's income tax revenue, which makes up more than 75% of the city's operating revenues. This funding comes from Dublin's 2% income tax. Of this percentage, 75% is distributed to the general fund, which is the largest fund supporting city operations. 25% is distributed to the Capital Improvements Fund to support new capital projects and the maintenance of the city's infrastructure. In 2020, Dublin collected $92.2 million in income tax revenue, exceeding our original budget of $89.3 million by almost $3 million. But COVID-19 has had a financial impact on the city's finances, and this impact will likely continue through this year and potentially next year. The most heavily impacted revenues were associated with recreation services and the Hotel Motel tax fund. Revenues associated with the city's 6% tax on lodging are deposited into the Hotel Motel fund. These revenues fell from $3.6 million to $1.5 million in 2020, a reduction of $2.1 million or 58.3%. The downward pressure on these revenues is estimated to last until potentially 2023. Recreation revenue related to charges for recreation-related services fell from around $4 million in 2019 to just over $1.1 million in 2020, a decrease of 73%. Revenues associated with the operation of the city's outdoor pool fell from almost $500,000 to just under $60,000, a decrease of 88%, both due to COVID-19 and the closure of the Dublin Community Pool North for renovations. In response to the reduction in recreation-related revenues, the city increased support from the general fund in order to continue to provide these services as we navigate through this pandemic. This additional support is possible because of the city's strong fiscal health. Another significant part of the city's strong fiscal health is our rainy day fund, represented by the general fund balance. Dublin ended 2020 with a record general fund balance of $71.3 million, or 99.2% of 2020 general fund expenditures. This fund balance was achieved through successful economic development initiatives and a strategic reduction in the operating expenditures when the emergency started in order to balance the city's revenues and expenditures. This fund balance protects the city in several ways, but the most relevant way in 2020 is it allowed the city time to delay any potential service reductions as the economic impact of the emergency was unknown. Ultimately, as the year progressed and the city's revenues, particularly income tax revenues, remained resilient, no reduction in services to the residents of the City of Dublin were necessary. In addition to protecting vital services during an emergency, this fund balance represents an opportunity to invest in a brighter, more prosperous future. In 2020, the city invested $300,000 in our local economy by funding the Restart Dublin, Ohio plan, administered by Visit Dublin, Ohio, in order to support our local businesses and community. The city advanced new economic development initiatives and progressed on prior agreements. Dublin continued to invest in the city's infrastructure by maintaining the funding necessary to keep our current assets well maintained, while still allowing the opportunity to create new assets that will propel Dublin forward. The city moved into its new City Hall building at 5555 Perimeter Drive and started construction of the $6 million new council chambers. It will be a wonderful place to celebrate our democracy and our ability to gather together in future years. 2020 was a year of challenges and uncertainty that demonstrated the city's resiliency. In 2020, Dublin was able to manage through the current crisis without reducing service levels, while maintaining a balanced budget, and executed on longer-term projects that will keep Dublin well-positioned as we move forward toward an ever more prosperous Dublin 2035.